Hi everyone, this is Teacher at Home, and today I'd like to talk about Luis Rodriguez's book, Always Running. This is an autobiographical account of Luis Rodriguez and his youth that was filled with turmoil and how he gets pulled into a life of crime and gangs. It's set in Los Angeles, and Luis Rodriguez is brutally raw. He's honest about all the aspects of this book, how he gets pulled in, the behaviors that lead him in there, the kind of offhand way in which he accepts some things that as parents we'd find horrifying. And really, in many ways, it's almost as if he lays out the path that kids follow often who get pulled into this kind of gangster lifestyle. Uh, Luis Rodriguez is brutally honest not only about his experiences, but also about his feelings about them at the time. And fortunately for us, Mr. Rodriguez was able to straighten out his life and write this incredibly powerful memoir. Now, parents, what do you want to know? Well, the book is brutally honest. It has drugs, it has sex, it has violence, it has profanity. So there's a big controversy whether or not this book should be taught in schools. And myself, being more conservative, I would say I don't think this book should be taught in schools, but I do think that this book should be available in the school library. And perhaps the librarian might have a book club where people read this book to talk about it because it's a, it's a high interest book that students who are reluctant readers might really latch onto. It's the kind of book where if you have a kid who's kind of too cool for school and is doesn't like to read, it might open up their mind to the fact that there's a whole genre of books out there that might speak to them and draw them in and make them readers. So any book that brings a kid who's a reluctant reader into the fold of kids who are readers is a good thing. And this book is a very powerful um, possibility to do that for a lot of kids, especially kids who are borderline um, trouble, borderline troublemakers. All right. I mean, kids are kids, but sometimes kids are facing some hardship, single parents, homelessness, um, pressure from the community that might lead towards this kind of thing. Now, why are people even talking about having a book so full of profanity and violence in the classroom? Well, it's one of those books that would fall under the is this book a quote unquote culturally responsive book? For Los Angeles, for certain areas of Los Angeles, at a certain time, sure, it may have been a culturally responsive book, but to then think that this book is going to speak to people just because, you know, they're Latinos is really problematic and kind of racist. So I don't like the idea of bringing this book in as a way to reach out to Latino youth. But I do think that this book is a great book to bring in for, um, boys who are on the edge, reluctant readers, or kids who just don't seem to feel that there's anything for them in school. They might be truant. They might have problems. They might not want to read their Shakespeare and reject their Mark Twain and not want to read the Chekhovs that might be in their actual English textbook, but something like this would really speak to them. And so it's got a very powerful place. And I think that Luis Rodriguez does a tremendous job here in relating his life and the decisions he made, and he doesn't make excuses for them. He takes full responsibility for the decisions he made, and some of them are really pretty horrible. So kudos for him for his honesty and really the compelling nature of his prose, because the book really does draw you in and is a very it's a page turner. You want to read it. And so if you find that your kid is reading this book, I would recommend that maybe you read it too, because it broaches a lot of subjects that might allow you to have conversations with your child that in other ways would be very awkward to bring up. So the book might allow you to talk about things that, you know, you may not otherwise really get into in some depth because of Luis Rodriguez and his honesty about his experiences and his feelings about them. So it's a compelling read. It's a tremendous book. It's a huge accomplishment. Kudos to Mr. Rodriguez. Should it be taught in the classroom and assigned in the classroom? I got to go on the side of no, because of the profanity, the drug use, and things like that that are in the book. Should it be available at the school? Absolutely, for kids to read, yes. But it's another one of those books where uh, a child should be able to choose it and should be able to get their hands on it and read it if this is the kind of book that they want to read. So that's my take on Luis Rodriguez's Always Running, a great book, belongs in the school library, but in my opinion, probably not in the classroom. But if you have a teacher who does assign this book to your child, read it and then have a conversation with that teacher or with your own child about some of the issues that you might have with it. Okay? So this is Teacher at Home saying thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. I will see you in the classroom.